Welcome back to Bradley's Garage. Today we're working on a 2005 Honda Element. We're going to be doing some suspension work, so let's jump on it. All right, so we're in the front. You got a good jacking spot in the front right here on this frame rail. So step one is obviously get the car in the air and get the wheels off. All right, so I just go ahead and put the jack stands on the rear subframe part, that rear cross member, lower it down. And that way things are out of your way for our working area. All right, so first step is we're gonna get this carrier with the caliper. We're just gonna leave them attached. There's no reason to separate them. So you have a 17 millimeter. Two bolts here. I'll just switch over to my Milwaukee. All right, so before you remove the caliper carrier assembly, just go ahead and get this brake line off. This is a 12 milli. So I just broke it free, get the Milwaukee. Okay, and now the brake line's free. Okay, so we got those carrier bolts out. We're gonna take the whole entire assembly, the caliper and carrier, and we're gonna bring it right around here. And then I just have a little stack of some wood that I'm gonna use as my support so we don't bind up the brake line. All right, next up, we're just gonna pop this rotor off. So I do use my little hammer driver here. Sometimes those are corroded and you don't want to run the risk of stripping that head. Then you won't be able to get the rotor off. Not that it's crucial, but it just helps with the repair. Makes things lighter. So we got lucky today. Not a lot of corrosion. Not bad, but still there. We'll make sure and put some anti-seize on during the reassembly process. All right, and then your rotor hopefully is not corroded and it will slide off. And then we can just set that to the side as well. All right, next we're just gonna go ahead and release the little notch on the lock nut here. So it just bends a little bit as a safety mechanism. Okay, so we'll just free it up. And you're gonna grab your 36 mil socket, get your impact, and just spin it off. Okay, no problem. Pull that off and set it to the side. All right, it's a good idea. So after you get that nut off, I just like to spray some penetrating spray in there to start working while we're getting the rest of these components off. You'll have less trouble, hopefully. Next up, we're going to take this tie rod end off. So get the little cotter pin. Use needle nose just to kind of straighten it out again. Squeeze it. Okay. All right, we got that out. Okay, 19. So we'll spin that off. Okay, so there's a couple methods here, depending on how tight it is. You can always, just lower the nut down and give it a little tap. And if it doesn't come right out, then we've got to grab the torch, put some heat on it. Okay, so like I said, if you got a stubborn one, then you're going to get your little tool here and get it in position. Okay, and then what I like to do is put some pressure, get it under pressure. And wow, we didn't even need the torch, guys, so that was sweet. It pops. Make sure you got some safety glasses because You don't want anything crazy flying in your face. All right, so before you take it out completely, you just use this as leverage to loosen it. Okay, well, all right, it came out. All right, so loosen the nut, back the nut off. So after you get it loose, then just keep in mind that in order to not have to worry about the alignment, you want to just count the number of turns. And of course this side is being difficult. All right, so next up is our lower strut bolts. So this is a 22 and a 19 on the bolt head. Usually it doesn't spin, but okay. And the bottom one. All right, spin those off. And usually you can just kind of wiggle it a little bit and get the bolts out. I'm just gonna leave the bottom one in loose for right now. And we're gonna get this pin out of the ball joint. That'll be next. Okay, so we're just gonna pull the pin. So I just get my little tool here. You just spread it out, pull it towards you, and it comes out. So you can see how it looks here. I just pull on that, comes around the nut. Okay, get your 17 on there and loosen it. It's usually not very tight because you got the cotter pin. So we're gonna pull that nut off. Same thing before. Get our tool. Okay, get it in position. All right, so we're just gonna cinch this down a little bit. Okay, didn't even need the torch on this one, so good job, guys. All right, got our ball joint popped out. Okay, so now our control arm is loose from the ball joint, so let's see if our shaft, our half shaft's gonna cooperate too. Okay, cool. Okay, so now we can take out that other bolt, and then our knuckle will be completely free from the strut, and we can push our half shaft back. Sometimes you might need to get a little punch and tap on it. Sometimes the corrosion buildup is there. So we can actually just go ahead and lift this out, theoretically. That ball joint likes to get stuck. Right back in, it sets back in, then gets stuck in there again. Okay, now we can pull that out. All right, so now just set the half shaft on the lower control arm, and now we have our spindle hub assembly. We're gonna have to get that ball joint replaced because it is completely shot, just flopping in the breeze. Okay, so next up we want to get our sway bar link off of the control arm. All right, nice, broke free and we spun off. So that you can just pull up out of the way, and now the control arm is ready to be removed. All right, so the initial plan was to replace the control arm bushings, which is here and here, but the previous owner recently changed the lower control arm assembly completely. You can buy the whole thing or change out the bushing. Obviously, it's easier just to buy the whole thing, but we're not gonna take that out because we don't need to. If you guys need to add that additional step, it's very simple. There's a 19mm bolt here and a 19mm bolt here. All you do is simply take those two out, and this control arm assembly will slide right out towards you, and you can put a new one in or press these bushings out like we were going to do and show you, but we don't need to do that, so just makes the job a little bit easier if someone's already done the control arm. All right, next up is our upper shock strut mount bolts. So there's going to be 3 14mm that you need to remove. So what I like to do is just get a couple off out of the way, save that last one, and then you have to be a little strategic. We're just going to set them up here. Okay, and then you have to reach under with your hand and hang on to the spring as you take that last one out. And then just lower it down. You got your hand on it, and our whole strut assembly is out of the car, ready. All right, so now I'm just gonna take the sway bar off. I take the sway bar off and leave those end links. It's just easier to access once you have it off the car. So you're gonna take your 14 on your impact and pull those off. I loosen that one. I just leave one of them kind of on there a little bit. Okay, same thing on the other side. Get your hand on it, okay? Then I come back to this side and take it the rest of the way out. Okay, now our sway bar we can just take out. Yeah, 5mm Allen, and with your 14 wrench, and then spin it off that way. All right, perfect. Same thing on the other side. All right. Okay. All right, so let's just go ahead and replace the sway bar bushings. Here's the Honda part number, the 51306 SCV. So let's go ahead and do that. Remember, these brackets are pointed, they have an arrow that points towards the front. So we're just gonna take it off and do it the same way. That part comes right off. And this has a split in it. Yeah, those are, oh man, those are rock hard. So those are definitely gonna be noisy. These are nice and soft. So we'll put that in, and then we know that it was pointing towards the back. So we'll just set it in place, and then it's ready. Here we are at O'Reilly's. All right, so we're just gonna bust this out in the parking lot real quick. We have our little Honda tool, and then we have the normal one. It seems like it's a little narrow, not very wide. So anyway, let's put this together. I think it goes something like this. And then you're supposed to be able to put this side on this, right? But as you can see, that doesn't reach. So I'm a little concerned about that. So I think we can just we'll just try to wing it. Maybe we'll put this on there. Yeah, let's try that. What if we put this little doodad on there to keep it centered? Let's try that. I don't know why it's not wide enough. So yeah, we're in the parking lot. What are you gonna do? I should have left the nut on, guys, and then that would have gave me some additional platform to push on, but this will kind of, that might work. I think it'll keep it from, I don't know. We'll keep it from falling off. Let's go. Let's give it a go. What do we got to lose? That's working. All right. What do you know? Okay. All right. Sweet. Now let's go inside and let's get the new ones and we'll throw them in. All right. So we got our new ball joint, and we're going to go ahead and just get it in position here. And then this contraption, they quote unquote say it's for a Honda, but it doesn't, this is not tall enough, to clear the ball joint. So it's like, what are we doing here? So let's just try to make it work here. We're gonna do a little stack method. Not ideal, but it will work. I need another hand is what I need. So clear our little zert area there. Get things started. Okay. Okay. All right, that doesn't look terrible. Try to get it as center as possible. Get it tight. All right, well guys, let's give it a go. All right, well. All right, very good. Now we get back to the house and get these installed. All right, so we're just gonna get our sway bar links here, open up the package. We gotta install the little grease zerts. So we'll do that. Oh, they're little right angle ones, so not bad. All right, there we go. Okay, got that one in. It's using a 9mm, so these are the little Master Pro, O'Reilly's brand. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get them installed first. We'll do the grease up before, because you have to get your wrench in here and you're gonna have to push the boot back, and I don't wanna smash out a bunch of good juice. All right, so we're working on the driver's side here, so we'll get it going, get the nylock on, and then the factory one uses an Allen here, that 5mm Allen, but this aftermarket stuff, like I said, you got to get your wrench in there, and it messes with the boot, so that's why I want to do the grease afterwards. So we'll get this on. Okay, cinch it down. It's a tight fit, like I said. All right, and then if this is not in the right position, then we can loosen this up a little bit and tweak it. So same thing on the other side. I think they were kind of pointing towards the back, if I remember correctly. Okay, just snug it, just so it's not flopping around in the breeze, and then let's get under the car and play around with this. All right, so we're back at the car, and we're gonna get this ball joint prepped. So remove the screw they give you, and then thread in the grease zert fitting. Okay. All right, and then we got our grease gun we're gonna hook up. Okay, and we're gonna pump it up. Okay, looks good. It already started coming out, so I think they preload it, but I just wanted to make sure that we were topped off. Never know at the factory how well they're treating you. So this thing is always a pain in the butt to get off. I busted a knuckle or two getting those things off in the past, so you learn your lesson. Okay, so we have to take this back off and put the regular screw back in, because this will hit the axle. Too tall. You know, Honda engineering. Let's see here. Get it started. Okay, now we're ready. Okay, so we got the grease in, and what I like to do is just get my little pick tool here and turn it to where it's parallel. So this surface is parallel. That makes it easier to put the pin in later. And the aftermarket ones use a little C-clip here. The factory Honda ones don't have that. So since this one has it, we're gonna use it, get our snap ring pliers here, and get it on and get it into that groove. So let's get these on here. Okay, we got one side in. Okay, there we go. Okay, perfect. Now we can put it in. All right, I'm just gonna apply some grease onto our spline here of the axle. That way, you know, you won't have a problem ever getting it out. So just want to be liberal with that. Apply it, prevent corrosion. Okay, now we have our assembly, our knuckle. We can basically just set the ball joint in there, get our axle lined up, and then basically get it in position. Give it a little twist and it should fall in. Okay, now you know you're good. It fell in, and we're just gonna leave that there and grab our strut assembly. All right, let's open up our box here. We ordered from Rock Auto, the cheapest deal we could find for the Monroes. So, okay, looks good. All right, very nice. All right, here's a quick shot. Left side, right side, part numbers from Monroe. Okay, so we have our strut assembly. It's marked right for the right-hand side. This part is gonna be facing towards the tire. That's gonna get you things lined up pretty close, okay? From underneath, first step is just get it up into position. Get it behind that half shaft, and I kind of just set it there. And then I basically just I'm lifting with my left hand and guiding it up into position, okay? And then basically just get one nut started while you're holding it with your left hand. Okay, and then it's being held there. Just get your other two nuts started. Okay, so now it's in position, relatively close to where we need it to be. And now we go back underneath. All right, so now we're back here. We get our knuckle and we get it lined up. Okay, and then what we want to do is just maneuver this around till we get the strut and we get one of the bolts started. So get it right there. Okay, got that in, and then now we can just rotate this a little bit. Okay, there we go. And so we got both of our bolts through. We're just gonna put those into position, held there. All right, we like everything. Axle's coming through. We can put the nut on. All right. All right, perfect. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get the tie rod installed. Another grease cert that we have to insert. Okay, that looks, oh, it's tiny. Okay, so it's the same 7mm as the other one, so we'll just tighten that up. Get our gun here and just make sure that it's topped off. Yeah, see, I don't know if they fill them all the way full. But we're gonna fill it up. Oh, there it is, I feel it, okay. All right. All right, so now just remember your count from before. It was roughly 10.5. So we're going to start it kind of where, you know, try to start the threads where it ended last time. And hopefully it starts to grab, okay? So there's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so that's really close to our nut back there. So we know we're close. Go ahead and get it dropped in. And then if you see the hole is facing in a good position straight at, that makes it easy to get the you know, access to the pin. So we'll leave it that direction. Get your castle nut and get that started. I just basically want to button, you know, all the components up, make sure everything looks good, fits good, and then we'll go ahead and torque everything down. So on the ball joint here, you can see I turned it so that way we have straight access. I'm going to use the original Honda bolt, or excuse me, castle nut, because I like the cotter pin is kind of cool and it works with this nut style. So we're just going to reuse that. We don't need a new nut that has a cotter pin. So now we got everything hand tight. So let's grab the torque wrench and torque everything. Okay, so we're going to start with these lower strut bolts. These are going to be torqued to 116. So I just crank them down a little bit first, make sure they're both kind of even. And usually they don't turn, so you don't really need to hold the other side. Okay. All right, 116. Perfect. All right, next up is our ball joint. This one's going to be torqued to 51. Okay, and then we have to just double check that, oh, look at that, guys. Perfect. We got a hole. So we can go ahead and use the factory Honda clip. Just stick it in and push it, and then it locks into place. So it's really trick. It's versus, you know, bending the other style cotter pin. So I think this is if you can reuse it and you got a good one, then saves you a little bit of trouble. All right, so we switch, the ball joint was 17 millimeter, so we'll switch to 19 millimeter. Cinch this one down. This is going to be set to 32 foot-pounds. Okay, I feel it getting tight. Okay, we just need to go a tiny bit more to have a clear hole. Okay, hole's clear. All right, and then on this one, no fancy nut there. Honda doesn't even actually use a castle nut on this particular one, but we're just gonna go ahead and bend it up, and we got our little cotter pin there, so we're good. Okay, we're back up top here, and we're gonna go ahead and cinch these down to 36. This is that 14 millimeter. All right, so I kind of just make sure each one of them are snug. Okay, snug, and we're gonna go ahead and do that 36 foot-pounds. Perfect. All right, okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and do a quick cleanup on our rotor here because, you know, our gloves were dirty before, so put some clean gloves on and get any contaminants off of our disc here. Somebody did put some aftermarket rotors here and they look cool. Yeah, look at all that. Okay, now we want to line up our 2 holes with these guys. So it looks like we should be in good shape there. Nope. So that means we're 180 off. Okay, yeah, there we go. Now we're good. So we got our little bolts here. You're gonna get some anti-seize, and we just need to put a little bit on those guys. Get your Phillips, get them started. You don't need to go crazy, just snug those down. They can't fall off. The wheel face is there, so I've seen guys go crazy with these rotor stay bolts. It's like, it's just, to keep it straight. That's it. Just snug it up. You're good. Okay, now we're ready for put on our caliper. I think I did a little rotation over there. So we didn't touch anything or do anything while it was off. So it should just slide right back into place. Okay, and then we have our 2 19mm bolts that will get started. Just, installation is the reverse of how you took it off. You kind of have to wiggle it a little bit, get it started. Sometimes it's a little tricky, but all in all, should be pretty straightforward. Like I said, just give it a little wiggle, and those are both started. Okay, we have our brake line bolt here. This is that 12mm. So I just get that started by hand, make sure it's not cross-threaded, and make sure this little ring is sitting flush inside that bracket. You don't want to be like tightening it up and it's not where it's supposed to be. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and just snug that down. Nothing crazy. And then we can go ahead and torque these carrier bolts. All right, so I said 19, I meant 17, sorry guys. So 17mm, we're gonna do 80 foot-pounds on these, so get your torque wrench. Okay, up top. Now we're going to torque our axle nut here. I'm just going to get a Phillips that we use for the rotor stay bolt. I'm going to stick it inside the vented rotor there. And I'm going to get a little tension on this. Okay, now we have pressure, and then we're going to do 181 foot-pounds. So spinning our little caliper thing there, but nothing I can do about that. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we just went underneath. We got the sway bar just started here. And if you look on the edge here, just make sure you're above on each side as you're putting it up, because otherwise it'll get stuck below the control arm. So then everything is loose. This is loose, this is loose. And then you can kind of just get this and maneuver it, into the hole, okay? And like I said, if you keep everything loose, we want to get this stuff secure first, and then we'll come back here and torque these down. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and put our nut on. These are 15. I think the factory Honda ones were 14, but it is what it is. Okay, we'll use our Milwaukee. Hopefully we can spin it up and it not spin. Oh, perfect. Excellent. This one you really can't get in there, so you're just gonna have to do it by hand. Get your 15 ratcheting. Yeah, and everything doesn't turn. And then notice I put the grease zerks, pointed back, so we can access them and fill these up now that we know we don't have to put a wrench in here and start pushing, grease out. So let's grab the zert gun. Okay. Okay, and then we do the other one. Okay. Okay, I see it coming out. Wipe off the excess. All right, do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so you just want to go ahead after you got your cotter pin in your tie rod in. We're going to go ahead and tighten the nut. It's a 24 millimeter. Hold the shaft with a 19, and we're just going to make sure that that's snug. Okay, and then we still got to take it to get an alignment done, but at least we know we're about where we were when we took it apart. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and tighten up the sway bar. I'm going to snug it down just with the impact. Yeah, I forgot to mention before, but just make sure that the flat part of the bushing is up. It's pretty obvious, but just make sure. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and torque this. And this is set to 37. Okay, all right, I have a couple of these sitting in a little baggie in the toolbox, so I might as well put them on. Just little dust caps for the grease certs. So we have one there, we got two there, and then our third one up here on the tie rod. That just keeps that hole, if we ever need to squirt some more juice in there, our holes are clean. Okay, so we got everything done. Next up is we'll make sure and put a little thread locker on our lug bolts so we don't have any problem in the future taking lugs off, no corrosion. And throw your wheels on and torque those down. Okay, one final step. You do need to go ahead and use a little chisel to make a notch. Bend that bolt to secure it so it won't turn. That's kind of the lock mechanism. So we're good. Let's throw the wheels on. Thanks again, guys, for hanging out for another Bradley's Garage tutorial video. Hopefully this helps you with your 03 to 11 Honda Element front suspension refresh. All the parts that we used in the video today will be linked in the description below. So be sure to check out our other Honda Element video for our rear suspension refresh. So check that out on the channel and catch you guys on the next one.